Kingdom Tunes. In the ancient land of Uz, there lived a man named Job. He was wealthy in possessions, great flocks of sheep, herds of camels, oxen, and donkeys, and he was well respected, for he was kind and deeply devoted to God. In all his dealings, Job was fair and just, known throughout the region for his integrity. To those in need, he offered a helping hand. To those in despair, a comforting word. His life seemed perfect. But events were about to unfold that no one could have imagined. Job's children loved to feast and celebrate. Each one would host lavish meals in turn, ensuring that the family bond remained strong. After each feast, Job would rise early and offer sacrifices, saying to himself, "Perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." He prayed earnestly for their well-being, both physical and spiritual. Such was Job's character. Constant, faithful, and devoted beyond his family, Job's righteousness shone through his mercy and justice. The poor found an advocate in him, the troubled found counsel, and the oppressed found relief. He honored God not only in prayer but through the kindness of his deeds. One day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them.
Where have you come from?
From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it.
Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one like him on earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and shuns evil.
Does Job fear God for nothing? Haven't you protected him and blessed everything he has? Take it all away and he will curse you to your face.
Very well. Everything he has is in your power, but do not lay a finger on him.
And so, Satan departed with dark intent, ready to test Job's loyalty.
The Sabians attacked and carried off the oxen and donkeys. They killed the servants.
Fire from the heavens fell upon the sheep and their shepherds. All are gone.
The Chaldeans formed raiding parties and took your camels. They killed the herdsmen with the sword.
A mighty wind struck the house where your sons and daughters were feasting. The building collapsed. None survived.
The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord.
In that moment of unspeakable loss, Job did not sin or blame God, but grief and sorrow pierced his heart.
Why, O Lord? My children, my precious children, I will trust you, though I do not understand. Help me remain faithful, even in this darkness.
Skin for skin. Strike his flesh and bones, and he will surely curse you.
Very well. He is in your hands, but spare his life.
Satan afflicted Job with painful sores from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. His body burned with torment, yet his soul clung to faith. Meet Job's wife, a strong and caring woman who stood by her husband's side through thick and thin.
Are you still holding on to your integrity? Curse God and die.
Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?
Job's faith did not waver, though he stood at the edge of human endurance. Job's friends came to comfort him, but the silence soon grew heavy, and sympathy gave way to suspicion.
Consider now, who being innocent has ever perished? You must have done something wrong. Repent and restore your favor with God.
Your children sinned, and that's why they were punished. If you were pure, God would not have allowed this. Turn back to righteousness, and he will make you prosper again.
Your sin is far worse than you admit. If only God would speak and expose your guilt.
I am innocent. Have I not feared God and turned from evil? Let the Almighty answer me. I cannot understand why this has come upon me.
Though Job maintained his innocence, confusion gnawed at his soul. He began to question why a righteous God would allow such suffering.
Job, I once had a vision at night, whispers that men are not pure before God. We are but frail. Perhaps we simply do not see the flaw that has brought this on you.
Eliphaz, I know God is just, but look at my life. Search it. I have clothed the poor, fed the hungry. If there is a sin in me, show it to me.
God does not reject a blameless man, nor does he strengthen the hands of evildoers. If you were truly innocent, surely your fortunes would have stood firm.
Your words are a torrent. Wisdom says God chastens the wicked. Seek him properly, and he will restore you.
You speak as if life were simple, as if the wicked always suffer and the righteous always prosper. But I have seen the wicked flourish and the innocent suffer. The ways of God are beyond our full understanding.
In these debates, human wisdom faltered. They tried to fit God into their narrow understanding, but his ways remained higher than their minds could reach.
I have held my tongue out of respect for your age, but I must speak. Job, you cry out for understanding. Friends, you claim wisdom in condemning him. But understand this, God is greater than any mortal. He may use suffering to instruct, to refine, or to reveal his power. We cannot force our meaning onto God's actions. Look up, consider the wonders of God. He does not owe us explanations, yet he speaks in whispers and in storms, guiding us if we are humble enough to listen.
Elihu's speech bridged a gap, acknowledging God's sovereignty while hinting at deeper purposes behind suffering. Yet Job still longed to hear from God himself.
Who is this that obscures my plans with words without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me, if you understand. Who marked off its dimensions? Have you ever given orders to the morning or shown the dawn its place? Do you know the storehouses of snow or the laws that govern the heavens?
God's questions shattered human presumptions. He revealed his boundless wisdom and made it clear that his ways, his governance of the cosmos, are far beyond mortal comprehension.
My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. Therefore I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes.
Job realized that understanding God fully was not within his reach, but trusting him was. He humbled himself before the Almighty, acknowledging that God's wisdom and purposes surpass human reasoning. God rebuked Job's friends for their false accusations and instructed them to make sacrifices. The Lord blessed Job's latter years more than his former ones. He lived to see his grandchildren and great-grandchildren. In his final days, he looked back on a life shaped not only by trial but by trust. Job's story reminds us that God's sovereignty and wisdom surpass our limited understanding. Though we may endure suffering and loss, we can trust that God's plan works ultimately for good. In faith, we find restoration. In humility, we find peace. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos.